It is Wednesday, December 10th. This is the Christian Commute. I am your host, Seth Dunn, and this is a rare Wednesday episode. And we're going to make it a special episode because I didn't do a Bible chapter review. We finished Luke 10 yesterday, but I wasn't at my office, so I didn't do any notes. It's a rare Wednesday episode because I drove to Dalton on my work from home day for our office Christmas party. And I don't guess it's an office Christmas party. I guess it's a company Christmas party because everybody came in from, Florida, Kentucky, California, all the places all over the world, all over the country, I should say, where we have administrative employees. So I guess you'd call it a corporate Christmas party. So I came in for our corporate Christmas party because, as you guys know, I'm corporate goon where I work. Salary fat cat type. But it's a special show because I didn't go to my office. I didn't have my notepad and my pen to make the Bible notes. So what I'm just going to do, not that this topic warrants a special episode, what I'm going to do is talk about the topic I didn't get to yesterday, which I'm going to call like supernatural kids shows or supernatural cartoon shows. We're going to talk about K-Bop Demon Hunters a little. And if I wanted to, I could go home and watch K-Bop Demon Hunters. I've never seen it. On my new TV, because I want a TV at our office raffle. They get a bunch of Christmas presents, and everybody gets a ticket. And you can put your ticket in what you want to win. So they had TVs, PlayStation, Apple Watch, all kinds of goodies. And I won one of the TVs. The second best TV. Because it was a strategy. Because you think everybody will put their tickets at the best TV. I'll put mine in the second best TV. And lo and behold, I have a TV. I needed a new... I don't know if I needed a new TV. But I wanted a new TV. And now I've got one. So lucky me. But let's talk about what I would allow my children to watch on this TV. Yesterday, I got an email from Watchman Fellowship, which is an apologetics and cult awareness ministry in Texas. I got an email from Watchman Fellowship, and they were emailing their profile. They do these cult and spirituality profiles. And listen, I would advise you, and I've talked about it before, I would advise you to avail yourself of that resource. I mean, there's a bunch of them. They're really running out of stuff to talk about. They say it's everything from acupuncture to Zen Buddhism. They have a little write-up on every little religious and tangentially religious thing you can think of. And they explain how it does or does not, most of the time does not, line up with the scripture. And the one yesterday was about K-Bop Demon Hunters, which is a cartoon out of Korea, I think, about... It's a movie? I think it's a movie. I think it's a cartoon movie. And I've heard about it because I have kids in middle school and below. About a band who hunts demons in Korea. I don't know. And quite frankly, I was so busy at work yesterday, I didn't get to read the whole profile. I just skimmed it. But somebody had asked me the other day, do your kids watch this? And I said, I wouldn't that doesn't sound, I don't know, maybe they did watch it. But that doesn't sound like something I would let my kids watch. K-Bop Demon Hunters, just by the name. And that got me to thinking, why don't I do a show topic on this? Not on K-Bop Demon Hunters specifically, but just on what are the guidelines we could use for how we decide what our children would be allowed to watch. Because they're going to want to watch anything that entertains them. But even non-Christian parents are going to not let their kids watch certain things, right? You're a non-Christian parent, you don't let your 10-year-old watch Friday the 13th, or who's that, Freddy? Which is the one with Jason? No, Jason is Friday the 13th. What's Freddy? Nightmare on Elm Street. You're not going to let your kids watch horror movies. They'll be scared to death. So even lost people know, hey, there's some things that's not appropriate for kids. But Christians need to be even more, if you will, discerning, because there's things that would contradict or erode a biblical worldview. or things because for Christians, even if you're an adult or a kid, if you're a Christian, this doesn't entertain you because, it's glorifying sin in some way. It's supposed to be entertaining, but it's really just kind of sad. So, of course, we make those decisions. So I was thinking, like, I should probably know what this is. And sorry, I'm merging onto the freeway. Let's morph this into a show. Let's talk about it on the podcast. So, what are some guidelines we could use as Christian parents to guide our kids through what they should and shouldn't watch? Because the world ain't going to do it for you, right? And I just want to reiterate, I've never seen K-pop Demon Hunters. I read the summary of it on Wikipedia. All right, because somebody had mentioned to me. I'm just old fundamentalist Baptist Seth. Demon Hunter. I'm some pagan show. I wouldn't let my kids watch that. But then I was like, you know what? I better read it and see what it's really about. The closest thing to my house that we have an influence in K-pop Demon Hunters is my wife went to Costco and bought K-pop Demon Hunters branded ramen noodles. Now, she just bought them because they were ramen noodles. We got 6 kids. They like ramen noodles, and ramen noodles are cheap, so we always try to stock up ramen noodles at our house. And I noticed when we got home, they were K-pop Demon Hunters brand ramen noodles. So I was like, what is this? And they were spicy. And I said, are they spicy because the demons are spicy? Or is El Diablo? They were really too spicy for some of the people in our family to eat, and they didn't say spicy anywhere on the package. I said, why did you get the spicy ones? And then we looked, and they were something called Shin noodles. We bought Shin noodles, H-I-N. And to us, that's just a Chinese sounding word. I guess Japanese. They're Shin noodles. You got ramen noodles, you got Shin noodles, whatever. No, Shin stands for spicy happiness in noodles, which is in little tiny fine print. So now we got all these spicy Demon Hunter noodles. And I know this is a super popular show. The premise, it's a movie. The premise of the movie is that there is a band. There's a genre of music out of Korea called K-pop. I guess it's their Justin Bieber type music. I don't even know. And in the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, there's a band that plays K-pop music, but on the side, like their side job is to hunt demons, and the demons are evil, and the demons are trying to take over the world or something, I don't know, and they're trying to stop them. Okay? So that's the premise. And since it's a cartoon made for kids, it's not going to be something that I think is too scary for the kids. It's made for kids, so I don't think it's going to be gory or horrific or frightening in some way. But it is something, it involves the supernatural, right? It involves demons. So you don't want to give your kids, or at least I hope you don't want to give your kids, a wrong impression about demons and the spiritual realm. Because what we know already, and we've done a show about this before, is there's a misapprehension or misimpression about the spiritual realm already. In our culture, even a Christian culture, we refer to it as folk religion, about angels and demons and what they are. Like, people think when somebody dies and goes to heaven, they become an angel. No, they don't. That's not true. And you always have the cartoon when the protagonist in the cartoon has an angel pop on his shoulder and a devil pop up on the other shoulder. And there's that folklore. But biblically, we know that angels are created beings who are messengers of God, and we know that they can appear as human, but they're not human. They're spirit beings. They're unembodied spirit creatures. That's what an angel is. An unembodied spirit creature, and they are messengers. Okay, our English word angel comes from the Greek angelos. Is it angelos? Whatever. I don't know if it's a hard G or soft G. It's been a long time since I took Greek, which just translates to messenger. And in Hebrew, the word for angel in the Bible in Hebrew is malach, and in Hebrew that just means messenger. So angels are messengers of God, essentially. Now, what are demons? Demons are angels, angelic beings that fell with Satan in his rebellion. And they're evil. And they can possess people. Okay? So they're basically, a demon is an evil angel. They have all the attributes of angels, except they're bad. They've turned on God. So you could look at angels and demons as elect and non-elect spirit creatures. Now, we humans, we know we have a spirit too, a soul or a spirit, but we also have a body. That's a difference in us and angels. Angels also not made in God's image, not according to Scripture anyway. It doesn't say they are, but humans are made in God's image. Okay. So demons are real. Demon possession is real, and demons are evil. And we know that there's a battle of powers and principalities that we don't see. The Bible says our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but about powers and principalities. Our battle as Christians is a spiritual one. And we battle against the devil and his demons. People like to say if they do something wrong, the devil made me do it. Well, listen. There's something like 8 billion people in the world. There's only one devil, the Satan. He's the devil. But there's innumerable demons. We don't know how many there are, but there are a lot of them. Okay? And what are they up to? They're up to no good. So that's the biblical truth about angels and demons. So when we see a form of entertainment that might mythologize demons, or frame demons in a different culture, like whatever Asian people think of demons, because there's demons in all cultures, I think. You know, they have an idea of what a demon is. We need to be aware as Christians, is like, all right, is this teaching our kids something different than what a demon really is? Should we allow our kids to watch this? And by the way, there's no guide in the Bible for this, is there? They didn't have TV in the Bible. They didn't have movies. They did have stories. They were different stories, but we don't have a lot of... This is the parent's guide of what kind of shows you're allowed to watch and what kind of stories you're allowed to read and what you should let your children read. Okay, so we just have to approach this like anything else that's not existent in the Bible or extant in the Bible, which is just a Christian framework. Where the Bible says, train your children up in the way they should go. We know we're supposed to teach our children the Bible, but what about stories that we know are just myths, or we know are just entertainment? So you guys got to understand, like, I don't think anybody made K-Bop Demon Hunters to teach demonology. It's a story to entertain kids. And I guess it's sort of like Santa Claus. All right, you got little kids in the car. Now's the time to turn it off. All right. Lots of Christians let their kids believe Santa Claus is real, all right? And the intention is one day they will know that Santa is not real and that mom and dad are Santa. Like they're going to find this out. So we let our kids believe some fantastical things that aren't true as parents sometimes. But do we want our kids getting their demonology or mythology from a show? I remember, let me just give you a personal recollection. When I was a kid, there was a cartoon that I used to watch. I watched it all the time because it was a serialized cartoon. I think those are the best. You guys know the difference between a serialized cartoon show and, say, like a Monster of the Week cartoon show? So serialized television A great example is a soap opera. There's an ongoing story that's playing out through every episode. Okay? That's serialized television. But then you have Monster of the Week or episodic television, where each episode is contained in itself. There's a beginning and there's an ending, and it doesn't have anything to do with what's next. There's no ongoing storyline. Sort of like Seinfeld, a show about nothing. There's no ongoing storyline in Seinfeld. It's just a sitcom, a situational comedy. You know, Saved by the Bell, Step by Step, Family Matters, all these shows people my age used to watch when they were kids. There was a situation, there was a family, and they were characters, but whatever scheme Zach Morris got into at Bayside High School at the beginning of the show was usually over by the end, with very few stories weaved throughout. Maybe Zach and Kelly, Ross and Rachel, will they, won't they, Sam and Diane, will they, won't they type stuff. And cartoons are like that, like G.I. Joe was a Monster of the Week cartoon. Like Cobra Commander has hatched a plan to do something bad, to terrorize the world. And G.I. Joe has the next 18 minutes to solve it. Okay. But Conan the Barbarian was serialized in that Conan was trying to get his family back. His family had been turned to stone by an evil sorcerer. Okay. And it was a spin-off of the movie Conan the Barbarian, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the movie Conan the Barbarian is not for kids. I don't know if it's PG-13 or R, but in that movie, Conan fights Thulsa Doom, who is an evil sorcerer who can turn into a snake, and he has a cult, and he had murdered Conan's family, and it's a sword and sorcery tale. Okay. Well, they made a cartoon for kids. And in the cartoon, Conan has a sword made of something called star metal. And it's called star metal because meteorites fell from the sky with this special metal in it. Okay? And it has otherworldly powers. Namely, it can send snake people back to their dimension. Okay? So the antagonists in the Conan show, I think the sorcerer's name was Seth. I can't remember. And Seth is the name of one of the gods in the Egyptian pantheon. And I think in that pantheon, he's kind of a bad guy. I think he's their underworld god. But I want to say Seth was the name of this sorcerer. And he was something of a demon himself. No, I don't think. He was trying to get this like demon snake thing from another dimension into our dimension. Not only that, Conan was a pagan, and he worshipped a god called Crumb. And he'd buy Crumb. That's what he'd always say. So his little local god was Crumb. And in his adventures, he met other warriors who had star metal weapons. So you can see how this is working out for action figures. There was a Viking with a star metal axe. There was an African guy with a star metal bolo. You know, the bola, the thing you throw it and it ties people up. I think there was an Asian ninja woman with throwing stars. And then there was some kind of, American Indian musician. I have no idea how all these cultures got together in the ancient world. But he had a staff, and Conan's horse had star metal horseshoes. And they were in this struggle against the serpent people, the serpent men, and this demon from the other side, okay? Now, I'm a kid, right? I'm watching this. I'm 10 years old, give or take. I don't even know if my parents knew I watched it. It's one of these cartoons that comes on after school or Saturday morning. Obviously, I'm from a Christian household. Now we got snake men. We got some pagan warrior who worships Crumb. I don't think Crumb was ever on the TV show. But we have the demon snake people. And we have wizards and sorcerers, okay? I know as a kid, this is a cartoon, and none of this is real. There's no such thing as snake men. There's no other dimension. There's no such thing as star metal. And there's no such thing as crumb. I know that ancient people had any number of false gods who either didn't exist or were actually demons. So all that to say, I grew up watching stuff that had a fantasy element, and it never took away from my biblical worldview because I knew it was a cartoon. And here's another popular thing as far as movies for kids and books for kids. Harry Potter. Like, Harry Potter's huge. Or at least it was 15 years ago. They finished watching, all the movies are done, I guess. But I remember seeing Harry Potter, and I know, like, okay, I wasn't a kid. I was a grown-up by then, and I didn't have children. But there's still things that you have to decide in your mind. It's like, okay, now we know that in the Bible, witchcraft is evil. That's the occult. Witchcraft is demonic, and we're supposed to put witches to death. If somebody was a witch in the Bible, they got put to death. Okay? That was what you were supposed to do with witches in the Bible. And we remember in the United States, it was the United States, the Massachusetts colony, the Salem witch trials. I don't know if it was America yet or not. Would you believe my mom's a history teacher, and I've been to Salem, to the Salem Witch Trials Museum, and I can't remember if it was before or after 1776. I'm pretty sure it was before. The Puritans in the Salem colony accused people of being witches. Well, what did they do to them? Because they thought they were legitimate witches. Well, they hung them. Because you're supposed to put witches to death. Witchcraft in the world is not something to be trifled with or something to be entertained. It's the occult. It's a portal into darkness. But when I saw the Harry Potter movies, I said, this is really more like X-Men. You've seen X-Men. You're either a Homo sapien or a Homo superior. That's what the mutants are in X-Men. So like Professor X and Wolverine and Cyclops, they have mutant powers. It's a genetic mutation. And the way I've always seen Harry Potter is the people who are witches and wizards in Harry Potter are so not because they've tapped into the occult. It's because they're born that way. Because in the Harry Potter world, you're either born with magic powers or you're not. And you have to go study them. So I don't know, did they go to a university for experts to teach them? Now you kind of have to ask the question, did J.K. Rowling rip off X-Men because kids with exceptional powers go to a school to be taught by a wise old man and other professors with special powers how to use their powers, and they have to fight an evil guy who misuses his special powers? This sounds a lot like X-Men, Professor X, and Magneto, where Voldemort is Magneto, Dumbledore is Professor X, and, the kids are Iceman and all the other students at Professor Xavier's School for the Gifted, a.k.a. Hogwarts. I see what you did there, J.K. Rowling. So that's another thing. It's like, I don't know about this. But each Christian's got to make their own decision. And like I said, I didn't have kids back then. I don't think my kids have ever asked to watch Harry Potter. Mr. Potter. All right. They've never asked to watch that. So along comes K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay? And my kids are old enough to watch this. I think it's being marketed to them. Now the thing about K-pop Demon Hunters is it's right there in the title is that they're hunting demons. Okay? But here's the thing. Snake men from another dimension are not real. Star metal's not real, remember. Whatever else you want to think of. Any kind of show with wizards. I used to watch a show called King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. It's another show that was sort of serialized, and it was a very exciting show, but now that I think back of it, it's sort of a stupid premise. King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table are trapped in a prison by Morgana, so Merlin uses magic to go through time to get a football team to come in and replace King Arthur and the Knights and pretend to be them. I don't know who came up with this, but it was an exciting show. But now you have Merlin and Morgana, and you have more wizardry and witchcraft, okay? But like I said, I never believed any of that. It was fantasy, right? When it's something, this is fantasy. Where I take pause with K-pop Demon Hunters, and again, I haven't watched it, is that, I know it's a cartoon, is that they're demon hunters, and they're encountering demons, and demons are real. Merlin the Magician, not real. Snake Men, not real. For that matter, Transformers and Decepticons are not real. Sadly, neither is G.I. Joe. But demons are real, and demons really are trying to do stuff in the world. And by the way, demons are irredeemable. We know this from the Bible because the Bible says that people at the great white throne judgment are tossed into hell, and hell is not only reserved for them, but for who? Satan and his angels, okay? We see demons in the Bible possessing people, and we know we're supposed to exorcise demons. We're supposed to cast them out, okay? So as interesting as it is that there's some kind of Josie and the Pussycats Scooby Gang type K-bop band that hunts demons on the side, well, hold on. Are they Christians? I don't think they are. I think they're just irreligious. Maybe they are. There's a lot of Christians in South Korea. But what I don't like is presenting demons from a non-Christian perspective to kids. Now, what about a comic book or some other fantasy? Spawn comes to mind, okay? So some of you may be familiar with the comic book character Spawn. This was one of the first comic book movies that came out. And Spawn is not a Marvel movie. It's not a DC movie. It was from Dark Horse Comics, which I guess, the ECW of the comic world. Not WWF, not WCW, but ECW. But the plot of Spawn is this. Is that there's this guy who's sort of this government assassin who does black ops and wet work, and he's murdered, and because he's such a bad person, he dies and goes to hell. And when he goes to hell, the demon or the devil or some important demon says, here's the deal, I'm going to send you back as a hellspawn warrior, and you can take revenge on the people who killed you. You'll have special powers from being a hellspawn warrior. But when the end times come, you have to lead my army of hellspawn warriors. So this guy makes a deal with the devil. He comes back from the dead with special powers and becomes a superhero. And the further you go into it, there's another character in there who turns out to be Cain from the Bible. So there's a lot. There's hell, and there's Cain from the Bible, and there's demons, but it's very unbiblical stuff. It doesn't line up with the Bible. Again, you can say, all right, I know this doesn't line up with the Bible, but this is obviously fantasy. And you can take the position, I don't want any kind of fantasy that takes the Bible and twists it and perverts it into a different story. Because isn't that what the devil does? For entertainment or not. And you might say, that doesn't entertain me. I don't like that. I don't want my kids to watch it. Okay? And by the way, the thing about kids is kids are not going to be watching Spawn. That's like more of that's for older people. Spawn is not a comic or movie for 10-year-olds. So when you get down to the demon hunters, and I read the profile, some of the demons can be good guys or not. That's another thing that should give you pause, because the demons are like, they're irredeemable. It's not like if you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you. Just being nice to the gentleman, huh, Fancy? They'll be nice to you. It's not like Fancy from Reba McEntire. All right, that's another thing. You listen to that song as a kid, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? And you're an adult, you're like, oh, I get it. Well, this is a terrible thing. Speaking of horror, you can't make this up. I just pulled up on a Jeep, and the tailgate on the Jeep is Pennywise the Clown handing Georgie a balloon. Like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with that person? Want a balloon, Georgie? There's another thing. You don't want your kids watching that. Should you be watching that? It's not a demon. I think it is a space alien. Anyway, think of it this way. If you're at a meeting at church and if you're at a party at church and there's kids there and the kids are talking about watching K-pop Demon Hunters, are you going to be distressed that the parents of the kids in your church are letting this go on? Just for me, and I'm telling you this as just for me, because it's got Demon Hunter in the title and it's for kids, that's something I would tell my children to avoid watching. Because they're children, and I know it's fiction, I know it's fantasy, but at the same time, demons are real, and I don't want my kids to get a wrong idea of what demons are and what they do, and what their potential interactions with demons would be like. Whereas if they're watching a show with a knight and a wizard, whatever. And maybe you would draw the line further back than I would. Same thing with the movie Wicked. The movie Wicked is huge. And I've heard some people, I wouldn't let my kid go to Wicked at all. And I haven't seen it. And I'm not going to go away because it's a Broadway musical. I don't know. Seth, you want to go see Wicked? No, I don't. I don't want to go see Wicked. Again, that's fantasy. There's no such thing as the Land of Oz. I do know this because I looked it up. The book Wicked is like really subversive and dirty, and it's the kind of thing that people would want to get banned from a library. Like, it's pretty messed up. But the musical Wicked, I don't think it has a lot of that subversive sexual stuff in it. Again, I haven't seen it. But again, like, be careful. All of a sudden, you've got Glinda Goodwitch, and she's singing a song, Unifying Gravity. You know, and, oh, it's fun songs. Like, why are you talking about witches? Okay? But you have to line up and say, are the witches in Oz the same thing as the witches in Bible times? Alright? Are we talking, because you can have the same name as something, but it can be two different things. Alright? Because think about when somebody dresses up as a witch for Halloween, which I don't think you should do, and you know, the kids wear the pointy hat and they carry a broom and they paint their skin green. That's not a witch in the Bible. Now, come to think of it, the choir director at Cartersville Middle School is a cooperative Baptist. That's the liberal Baptist. And for their fall concert, I guess they wanted some Halloween type things. And they wanted to sing a song from one of the Marvel shows, Agatha, I don't even know, there's so many Marvel shows I can't keep up with them. But there's a witch named Agatha Harkness in one of the Marvel shows. Agatha All Along, I don't know. And there was a song about the season of witches or something, and my daughter asked, she's like, hey, is it okay to sing this song? Because some of the kids are boycotting it. And I looked it up and I said, you know what? I think that teacher should have more sense in a Bible Belt town to want to sing a song about witches, even if it's from a comic book movie. So yeah, you know, why don't you not do it? I understand why she picked it, because it's a choral song with different parts, but have some cultural discernment, lady. So these things just to navigate as parents. Like, I'm not telling you one thing or another. Like yesterday, I was like, don't divorce your wife. Don't do it. Because that's very clear instruction, right? A lot of times I want to hear like, no, impermissible. You can't do this. This, blah, 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 this. I take a lot of hard positions on this show that I think are biblical. I'm just trying to give you things to think through. As for me in my house, I'm going to tell my kids if they ask to watch K-pop Demon Hunters, don't watch that. And maybe it's discussion I need to have with my wife, because maybe my wife wouldn't even think about it. Some of y'all are married and you think, no way I'll let my kids watch that. And some of you people don't even think about it. Like, oh, I didn't think about that. So it's probably good when you have kids to start having this discussion, these type of discussions with your spouse. I'm getting hot. How do I turn let me turn some air conditioning on here. I don't care if it messes up the... Why is it not blowing out? This is terrible. I don't care if it messes up the audio or not. I'm getting a little sweaty. I wore a sweater because I dressed nice to this Christmas party. But yeah, talk to your kids about it. And here's how it works now, guys. It used to be, like when I was a kid, a show came on at a certain time of day. And you either had that channel or you didn't, because you had cable or broadcast. And either you were available to watch TV at that time or not. Or a movie came out and, well, you had to go buy a ticket to get the movie. But that's now how it works now with streaming. Because there's HBO Max, there's Disney Plus, there's Netflix, there's Hulu, there's Paramount Plus, and they all have different franchises and different movies, and everybody's got a different thing. So your kids are going to have access to streaming services because that's how they watch TV. They're not like, oh, it's time to watch, I was going to say Howdy Doody. Oh, it's time to watch G.I. Joe because it's 7:30 in the morning. It's like, nope. I want to watch Spider-Man. And they whip out the phone and they say, here's 10 different Spider-Man movies and 5 different Spider-Man cartoons, and I want to watch this one. That's how it works for kids nowadays. So they may be out watching stuff already that you don't know about. So get a hold of that. Probably a good idea. So there you go. My thing is, I don't feel comfortable letting my kids watch K-pop Demon Hunters. K-pop. It's K-pop. It's K-pop. Maybe you do. I don't know. But that's a part of being not only a parent, but a Christian parent, is seeing if something crosses over into the biblical realm, that being concepts, entities, and ideas that are dealt with in the Bible, and making sure that those sources of entertainment do not pervert the biblical worldview you're trying to teach your kids. And with that, I'll end this special episode on Conan the Barbarian and K-pop Demon Hunters and G.I. Joe. I have a confession to make. Always rooted for Cobra because I thought they had cooler uniforms and cooler vehicles. And that was on purpose because they're trying to sell Cobra action figures too. But now that I'm old, they're the bad guys. Cobra Commander is evil. Thanks for listening to the Christian Commute. Lord willing, I'll be back with you again. I don't know. Maybe Thursday. I might go to work tomorrow. We'll see. As always, God bless. I'm not going Friday because I have a therapist appointment. As always, God bless. And always remember, Christianity is not about getting saved. It's about being saved.